Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole with Made from Scrap, and I said that I was going to put together a little tutorial for this little cute album. It's a 5x5 mini. I used the Winter Magic from Country Craft Creations for this, and I just picked up, and I'm going to be doing a haul video, but I just picked up a new order from Country Craft Creations, and for this next project, for this tutorial, I'm going to be using this paper rose. Pattern is called Sweet Valentine Basics. It's a 6x6 collection, and this little mini is perfect for 6x6 paper pads. But if you have 12x12, you can just cut it into quarters, right? So your sheets into quarters and use them. So it's a great way to use up your paper stash, which is what I am working on doing. But you have a couple of flaps here on the left that we're going to be making, and then of course you have these two mini pages right here in the middle with a pocket on one of them, and then you have this larger pull out right here on the back side. So it actually adds quite a few spots for photos. So without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. So the first thing you're going to need is, I did use 2 pieces of 5x5 chipboard. So I have those here already cut. Then I have the front and back cover. Then I have one spine piece that measures 1 inch wide by 5 inches tall. So I have that cut. Then I have 2 pieces of cardstock for the front and back cover, and those both measure 7 by 7. Okay, that's going to be to cover our covers. And then we have a piece that measures 4 inches wide by 7 inches tall, and that's what we're going to use to put our spine piece on. So I already backed my chipboard with double-sided tape so that I can do this quickly. But if you don't have these spacers, and these spacers are wonderful things available at Country Craft Creations, but if you don't have them, you can either cut your own spacers out of chipboard, or you can score your cardstock to give you a straight line. So for my spine piece, I'm using a 1 inch spacer at the top, and I'm using a 1.5 inch spacer on the side, and that way I can just abut this chipboard using that double-sided tape and stick it right down, and it's nicely centered right there. So that is my spine piece. Then with the covers, I am using the 2 of the 1 inch spacers. Okay, just like that. I'm going to peel off the backing of this double-sided tape here, and then I'm just going to stick that right down. So just like that, we have our pieces covered. Okay, now I am done with my spacers. I'm going to set those off to the side, and I'm just going to push this scoreboard over to the side really quick. The next thing I guess I'm going to go ahead and do, is because I have this on my desk, is this is one of the 6x6 sheets out of the paper collection that I'm going to be using. And when we go to put it together, there's 2 things that I made sure to glue down pattern paper first before finishing the assembly, and that's on this left hand side. This piece of pattern paper goes down first before this little waterfall, and then the other thing is the 2 pages that are in the middle are set down on top of the strip that goes on the spine. So I went ahead and pulled out a sheet of 6x6. I cut it down at 5 inches. Wait, let me make sure. No, 4 7/8 inches wide by 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 inches. Okay, that's going to leave you with a 1 inch strip that you cut off in each direction. And since this is double-sided, I took this 1 inch strip, and then I'm going to use this back side for my spine cover. And because I cut it at 4 7/8 inches, I needed to cut off 1/8 of an inch off of that. And then all of a sudden I end up with my spine piece. So I now have the 2 pieces of pattern paper that I need. It's actually this one, Nicole. Yep. For the inside. So I'm going to set that aside. Hopefully that makes sense. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish covering my album. I'm using the lay flat method. I do have a tutorial for this that is going to be linked below, but honestly it is so super simple to do, and what it allows for is for the cover to lay flat. Now keep in mind that if you have a bunch of chunky elements on the outside of your cover because you've decorated it, then obviously it's still not going to lay flat. That happens with me a lot of times, but because I like to put together chunky books. But this album, this little mini, does have a lot of space to grow. So you can see from the top side here, it's not alligator mouth already, and this is what people consider alligator mouth, where this section is larger than the spine once it actually has pictures in it. So you can see right now it still is closed. So once you put your photos in there, it should sit flat, you know. All right, so the lay flat method is super simple, and I'm not, like I said, I do have a whole video that's on that already that's available on my channel, and it will be linked below. But essentially you're going to cover your chipboard pieces with cardstock. You're going to cut out the corners, and you're going to wrap the edges of that chipboard so that they are covered. Just doing this quickly. Remember, you can always slow down these videos if you need to by using the function that's available on YouTube. It's the little gear. If you tap on the picture on YouTube on your screen and you select the little gear looking icon, then it'll let you speed up or slow down your video that you're watching. Okay? All right. So I am using artisan art glitter glue, and artisan paper for the cardstock because it's just perfect. And this is the white that I'm using for a background. Now I'm just quickly going around the outside of my covers, placing glue on those flaps, and then using my bone folder to push that paper down and around. So now I have one cover piece that's already wrapped. I'm going to do the second, and then what we're going to make sure to do on the spine piece, if you've never wrapped your chipboard pieces on the spine, it's a little different because it is the way that we use to connect all of these three pieces of chipboard together. So almost there. Okay, now we have our two chipboard pieces, and we are onto the spine. So I'm just going to place glue on the top and bottom two flaps and glue those down, and that's it. Okay, because we need these outer flaps in order to help put our stuff together. Now I have this little bit of overhang right here that I see as a little bump out, so I'm going to turn this over and just make sure to trim that off. Okay, clean that up. All right, bring my scoreboard back in here because that's going to help me putting this together. I'm going to put this spine piece down face down, and I'm going to line up the top so that I'm going to use the edge of the scoreboard to put these together. And what we need to do is make sure to put glue on these, but you get to use the corner of your scoreboard to help you align those two pieces. So I'm going to place glue on the wing here on this flap, but I'm going to stay away from the inside portion next to the chipboard piece here, and then I put a bead of glue along the side of the cover right there. Okay, now I am spacing about 1/8 of an inch in between the two chipboard pieces, so you have this little gap that's going to be a little valley there. in between, and now I'm just going to run my bone folder down in between so I can just work that paper a little bit, okay? Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other wing. Use this here, place a little bead of glue on my cover piece. I'm going to place this about 1/8 of an inch away from the spine. Okay. And then I'm going to burnish. And just like that, we are done with our cover. Okay, putting it all together. All right, the inside now. You're going to need one piece of cardstock that measures 11 1/4 inches by 4 7/8 inches tall. And what I'm going to do with that is place that right inside here, okay, for the cover inside. So I'm going to place glue on the inside of my spine, and I'm starting there by centering this cardstock, top to bottom, left to right, and then I'll use my bone folder to press down and get that glue to stick. And then I'm going to use the edge of my bone folder to press into the groove and create that paper to go down into the groove just a little bit. Basically, I can see that this paper edge is starting to lift up. That's basically what I want. I'm just giving a little indentation there. And I peel this back, and I put glue underneath it, just like that. And then I will start at the outer edges with my bone folder and work the glue towards the inside. Spread that out. Burnish it down. Okay? Turn it around because I'm right-handed. Peel this back and do exactly the same thing. Okay. Outside edges. Pushing that glue around. And voila, we have our little book, just like this. I'm going to work this. Now you can't really do that with all cardstock is not created equal. This artisan cardstock is a linen cardstock, so it has some fibers to it that is really pliable. But just like that, you have your little mini album. So let's get started on the inside pieces. I'm going to bring my scoreboard back in, and I'm going to start with the front top flap. I need one piece that measures 4 3/4 inches by 5.5 inches. And on the 5.5 inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 of an inch and 5/8 of an inch. Okay, it's a little tiny 1/8 of an inch gusset that we're creating. So 1/2 inch and 5/8 inches. Set that aside. Your next piece is going to be the front bottom flap, and that measures 4 3/4 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And then on the 3-inch side at the top of your scoreboard, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 of an inch and 5/8 of an inch. 1/2 an inch, 5/8 of an inch. Okay, set that aside. Your next piece is going to be the front side waterfall, and that piece measures 9 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches in height. And on the 9-inch side, you're going to go ahead and score that at 4 1/4 and 4 3/4. So I'm just making 2 scores, 4 1/4, 4 3/4 inches. Set that aside. Put the top of my glue. All right. Next, you're going to have a piece that is for the center pages, and this measures 12 inches by 5 inches. And on the 12-inch side, you're going to go ahead and score that at 4 1/2, 4 3/4, 5, 5 1/4, and then 9 3/4. Okay, so once again, on the 12-inch side, you're going to score it at 4 1/2, 4 3/4, 5, 5 1/4, and 9 3/4. Okay, that's going to be for our center pages. Next, you're going to have two pieces that measure 10 inches in length by 4 3/4 inches, and these are going to be the back pull-out pages. So on the 10-inch side, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch and 5 1/4 inches. 1/2 inch and 5 1/4. And both of these pieces you're going to do exactly the same way. So again, at 1/2 inch and 5 1/4. Okay. And then lastly, you have two inserts. You're going to have the tri-fold insert, and that measures 10 1/2 inches in length and 2 1/2 inches in height. And on that 10 1/2 inch side, you're going to score it at 3 1/2 and 7. Okay, that's just a little tri-fold. So that's just like this. I'm going to end up burnishing. Just a little zigzag fold. Okay. Then lastly, you're going to have a double insert or a little booklet, little mini booklet, and this measures 7 inches by 2 1/2 inches, and on the 7-inch side you're going to score it at 3 1/2. So that's just a little fold like that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to set those aside. I can move my scoreboard. I'm going to go ahead and bring this cover back in, and then I'm going to take my little stack that I had off to the side that we just scored, and I'm going to flip it over. Okay, so I'm starting with this front top flap. We had the two indents right there. We're going to go ahead and burnish both of those. Okay, so make sure you get that score line really burnished so that you end up with a little 1/8 inch gusset, just like that. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is flatten this out for a moment so that I only have the 1/2 inch piece, and I'm going to place glue on that little 1/2 inch piece. Don't be as sloppy as I am. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and align this fold with the outside top corner of my little album. I'm going to place that down. So right now, if you are if it's flattened, you should see the additional score line. Okay, but we're just going to burnish that, and we open it up, burnish it again. And then you should be able to hold your piece in place and push it upwards like this so that you get that little 1/8 inch gusset sitting up straight. You see that right there? So when we attached it and glued it down, it was flattened like this so we could burnish it really well. And then we're going to end up pushing it up a little bit. Okay? All right. Pick up that flap. And we're going to move on to the next piece, which should be that we scored, which should be the front bottom flap. Same is the case. You're going to go ahead and burnish those two score lines. Okay. Again, you're going to end up with, you should end up with an 1/8 inch gusset, and we're going to place glue the same way on that little 1/2 inch strip, and then we're going to use that, align it to the outside bottom corner this time of our front cover, on the inside of our front cover. Okay, you can fold this down, make sure that you're aligning with the two, and then go ahead and burnish. So now you should have the top and the bottom flaps attached. If you want to end up with a magnet there, be my guest. I don't really think it's necessary. This is a very quick little album, mini album. Okay, your next piece is going to be this waterfall, but remember, we don't want to place this down until we put our decorative paper. So I'm going to pull out that decorative paper that I already pre-cut that measures 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Now I'm going to glue it down. So I place glue on the back side of the pattern paper. And I'm just going to center this. Like so. Okay, so pretty. And now we get to move on to the waterfall. So go ahead and burnish those 2 score lines. Okay. You should end up with a half inch gusset. Okay, you see the gusset right there, ½ inch. That gusset is going to get glued and flattened down so that the fold is to the edge of this, and that means when you open up the first flap, you're going to see the ½ inch gusset there, which will be glued down to your bottom paper, but this section will be free. So what that means is you need to make sure to not put too much glue, just enough so that you don't make a mess and it holds the paper down. So again, I'm going to flatten that. See how I flatten that? I have glue on the back side here, so I'm going to align this folded edge with the outside of my cover, and I am just going to estimate top to bottom that I'm about centered, and then I'm going to burnish it down. Open up that first flap, burnish it down. Turn out that second flap and burnish it down again. And just like that, you have that little mini waterfall. You have your bottom flap and your top flap, and that has a little 1/8 inch gusset there. Okay, so once you get your photos on, that will lay real flat. All right, next piece that we had pre-cut of our pattern paper was for this middle spine section. So we need to go ahead and glue that down. That measures 7/8 wide by 4 7/8 inches tall. Okay, and those are really the only 2 pattern pieces that you need to have pre-cut for this project so that you can assemble the whole construction of the project. All right, moving along now, we need to put the center pages on. So we're going to have this piece that was for our center pages that measures 12 inches in length, right? We have our 4 score lines here that you can see, and then we have one off to the right. The one that is off to the right is going to be the bump side facing down towards your table. Fold that section away from you, okay, or underneath. So that looks like this. Really doesn't matter which one, but now we want to burnish all of those score lines really well. And first, just finger burnishing it. Okay, but I really want to work each and every one of those because this is going to be our hinge to our small little pages. Make sure that's straight, Nicole. Okay, so you're going to say, this doesn't look like the normal way that we put pages, and that's true. So let me show you what we are doing here. You should have one little tiny 1/8 of an inch gusset. Then you have a score line on this side that's an quarter inch gusset. A 1/4 inch score here away from there and a 1/4 inch here. Okay, and that's going to allow the page to actually be able to fold backwards and use that 1/4 inch. So if this 1/4 inch is glued down to the page, you're going to have this section and this section that is standing up and allows your page to actually lay flat. So let me show you. Here, do you see how that 1/4 inch right there allows these pages to lay flat? That's what we're after. So we have the center 1/4 inch gusset that's glued down to our spine, and then we have a 1/4 inch on either side that is extra, and that allows our pages to lay flat. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's come back to this. Let's place glue on that 1/4 inch, that center 1/4 inch, And I want to make sure that you have your extra flap on the right hand side. Okay, and it's going to get folded backwards, but on the right hand side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and place that down in the center. Now you can flatten this temporarily, okay, pull it apart so it's temporarily on there, and then you can center top to bottom, left to right. If you prefer to fold it over, you can do that, but just make sure the top and the bottom are straight. Now this was 5 inches, so it's the entirety of your album there, so it should let you make sure to get that straight. Okay, I just burnished it down, and then we're going to rework those other 2 score lines. Burnish them again and pull it out. Same thing on this side. Burnish those 2 score lines. That way they fold in every direction. Just like that. We have them attached, okay? Oh, I think I lied. The other thing was this flap on the back side. We have to have a patterned piece of paper that goes down there before we glue this little pocket. So yeah, I told a fib. All right, let's move on to the back though real quick because I don't have that piece cut. So let's move on to the back pullout. You should have 2 pieces that had measured 10 inches in length by 4 3/4 inches. Both of them should have a score line at 1/2 inch, and then another one at 5 1/4 inches. Okay. You want to fold and burnish this one so that it is basically a Z fold, and this 1/2 inch strip on this one is going to get glue onto it. This in. And this folded edge of the 1/2 inch is going to get lined up to the outside of your, to the inside of your back cover, the outside edge. All right, so it's flat there. And I'm going to burnish this down, and it is shorter, so you're going to have a little indent on the top and the bottom. Okay, and if that's all you wanted for a pull-out, then you only have to put 1. But in my case, I want to put the second one and give us more space for photos. Okay, so do exactly the same thing and make it into a Z fold. Place glue on your 1/2 inch strip, and then you're going to glue this right down on top of the last one. So you get to just line up all 4 corners, burnish that down, open it up, burnish it again, make sure that your glue hasn't got too far out of hand. And now you have this long pull out. So it's accordion. Okay, let me go ahead and cut another piece for this. So let me measure. I'm going to cut that at 4 3/8 inches by 4 7/8 inches. So let me see what I want here. Will this be cute? Yeah, this will be cute. 4 3/8. That's 4 7/8. I did that pretty good left-handed. All right, let's glue this down. Okay, you should see that 1/4 inch gusset there. Okay, so make sure you don't cover that up. And now I'm just going to place glue along the edge here, the top and bottom edge of this flap. Just a little bit, not too much. And then burnish that down, and that creates our little pocket. And just like that, that's our back page. This is our front page. This is the front cover. Okay. And then of course you have the back. It's the pull out. So I'm going to finish decorating this one, and if you work this back and forth a bit, then it should turn you right into this. And of course you have those two little inserts that can go right, you know, in your pockets. You can put one somewhere else. I created a pocket just by cutting into the ephemera pieces on this one right here. I just glued down on a couple sides and created this little tuck spot, right? So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I look forward to seeing you back here soon. I'll do a quick flip right after this of what this finished project looks like. Please make sure to check out the links that I have included for you below. Those are links that go right to Country Craft Creations, to the materials that I've used here that are still available at the time of this video. And it doesn't cost you any more, but it is an affiliate link, and it greatly helps my channel grow. So thank you so much. I look forward to you giving this a thumbs up or seeing your project on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations. Until next time, everyone, happy crafting, you all. Goodbye. Okay, everybody, let's do the walkthrough of this little 5x5 mini album. This paper collection, again, that I used is from Paper Rose. It's Sweet Valentine Basics. It's a 6x6 collection, and this size album is perfect to use your 6x6 paper pads, by the way. I also use the matching Quick Cards die cuts. These are amazing. They are embossed. They're already die cut, so you can just really literally pop them out and use them. I do snip off the very edge of the couple of spots that they're attached, but it makes for such a cute and fun project. So I did a little stitching on the outside. I used a teal cardstock from my stash to back these covers on and inside. So let's get started. Isn't this darling? I think I will put one more sentiment on the front here, but so this is the inside, and isn't this just cute? Let me move this over. Isn't this just cute? These little rabbits here. Actually, I'm going to move you in. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better, right? So you can see the paper collection, the roses and the little rabbits there. This is one of those elements that I popped up on just a couple of foam dots. Here I layered up one of the sentiments with the heart, and then I just tucked in a little tag from that same die cut collection. There's some seam binding from Country Craft Creations there. So when you fold this up, you see one of the paper backings there. I have a little collection of die cuts here that I glued together, those two, and just made it like a little fun tuck spot. Then this folds down, and you can see this part of the paper collection. I used some red cardstock from my stash and left these two spots white on the back, as well as this little booklet right there. And that's the paper we put down together. Okay, then moving over here to the first page, I showed you this one already, so let's flip that over. Isn't this so cute? Boys, they are not loving each other right now, but happy heart day. Isn't that adorable? These little otters. There's a little bit of glare there. Oh my gosh, they're super cute. Okay, then that turns over. You have the little koalas here. Can you see it has some glossiness to it, and then it also has like an embossing on there. Maybe that's just the gloss. Trimming? No, sir. No, stop that. We're filming, of course. You are my favorite. I popped that up, and this is the little tuck spot for that little trifold. I have a little sticker here just from my stash, and this is another one of the hearts from the die cuts. And then this is the pull out here. So it comes out like that. Another little sentiment there that says forever. You can see that I continued the paper past the fold marks there and there. I like doing that. And then on the back side, I used the paper from Country Craft Creations. This is the Pearlescent Card Majestic Gold from Tonic. And then here's another one of the die cuts, and I just glued it only on one side so that I could tuck something underneath there as well. Isn't that adorable? Yep, and it just folds up like so. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below, that sure helps my channel, and make sure that you see that description box below for the products that I use that are available from Country Craft